Hello again, everyone. This is Jim Schlegel, North America Sales Manager for TRBOnet, and we're talking about TRBOnet Plus dispatch and tracking software for your Moto Turbo system. So at this point, we're on the route management portion of our software. So we talked earlier about route geofencing. With route geofencing, you set up a route and you have to stay on this route, and if you vary off of it, it'll alert the dispatcher. So it doesn't matter if you go 1 mile an hour along that route the whole way. If you don't vary off that route, you'll never alert anybody. So we also have route management. What route management does is it holds you accountable for times to hit specific places. So I have this Charlotte route right here that I'm going to pull up. And as you can see, it was a quick route I made with only 4 stops. You could, of course, make 100 stops, but you put the stops and then you put what time they have to be at these stops. So I have to start my route at 5 a.m. I have to be at that stop. And then I have to be at the second stop, Bull Station, by 5:15. So now with this, it doesn't care how I go. I can go from here and drive around in circles and then go to this point. As long as I hit the time intervals, it doesn't matter if I stay on the route. So the good thing is you can use both. You can use route geofence and route management, and you have to stay on the route, and you also have to hit certain times at certain points. So and then you make rules for it. You say, okay, if they're 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late, that's okay. But if they're more than 5 minutes early or more than 5 minutes late, I want the dispatcher alerted. That way the dispatcher can call up and say, hey, Brad, you're running a little behind today. You know, don't waste time. Step on the gas when you can and move along. Or if Brad's running early, the dispatcher can say, hey, you're running about 7 minutes early today. Make sure not to leave that stop till 5 a.m. or people are going to be calling us saying they missed the bus and they're going to be mad at us and they think they're going to lose their job and now they have to take a cab to work or whatever, and it's costing them a lot of money. So it's a way of holding the buses accountable for being at certain places at certain times. We have one bus company that just got with the E-Series radios and the iBeacons, because of in downtown areas with large buildings like Chicago and everything, there's real trouble getting GPS locks. They're using the iBeacons to make sure they're at certain places at certain times and using the same technology. So if you're in an area that's blocked by buildings that's hard for GPS, you can also use the iBeacon technology and the E-Series radios for the exact same thing. So that's what the route looks like, and again, you have the rules in place. So what's it look like when you're doing it on the map? Well, you would actually start it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it, and I have to put a day. So I'm going to put tomorrow because today's already happened, and I have to assign it to a radio. So I'm going to assign it to Brad Pitt. So I put okay. So as you can see, tomorrow at 5 a.m., Brad needs to be at this stop at 5 a.m. and here, and he needs to hit them all on a timely manner. If he doesn't, they'll be red if he doesn't make them. They'll be green if he makes them. So when you see later on when you come in, you can see all across there, and you can say, okay, green, 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 green. That's great. You know, green is good. If you see any red, that means he missed the stop. Now what I'll do the exact same stop, and I'll start it. But I'll start it on today's date, so it'll already be late when I start it, and I'll do it with Brad Pitt as well. So you can see what it looks like when it's late. So they missed all their stops, they're red. So I can't show you a green route because I'd actually have to jump in my car and go drive around and make sure I hit all those spots. But you get the idea. Green is good, red is bad. So that's how that works. You can also do a route that doesn't have times. I think about companies like uniform companies that deliver uniforms to like car dealerships, you know, and the towels and aprons to restaurants. The drivers leave in the morning and they have to hit all their stops, but they're not timed. They just have to go to stop 1, stop 2, stop 3, which in real life would be named maybe Doug's Bakery and Sally's Restaurant, you know, each one. So they go along and they don't have to do it in a time manner, but they have to make sure that they hit all their stops. So if they miss one, it would alert the dispatcher. The dispatcher could call up and say, hey, you missed Sally's Bakery. You better get back there and deliver those aprons or she'll be upset. We also have the exact same feature with the, it's called Guard Tour, which you can do with the indoor tracking. So you have your indoor locationing, and you can say, okay, let me show where all the beacons are. Oops. So you can say, you can say that, okay, my guard at night when nobody's there, I want to make sure he's walking around. So I'm going to set it up where he or she has to go by here and then here at certain time intervals to make sure they're walking around. You can also have a alert go off if they're motionless for more than whatever time you specify, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want. So if they're supposed to be walking around and they have a lack of movement for a certain time, you can have that alert the dispatcher as well. So the route management works in the same respect as it would with the guard tour and the indoor tracking. So that's route management. Next on our thing is reports. Now we have a lot of reports you can run, endless reports. And in fact, if you have a report we don't do and you would like it, we could probably write one for you. They're not that hard, but we have everything you want to know, like change of job status. This is for the job ticketing portion. So you want to know a change of job status. You put in a date. So let's do the 30th through the, I don't know, the 5th. And we're going to generate a report. So you can see that when job tickets were created and they were assigned, they were accepted, it was accepted by Brad Pitt, and you get a history of how long it took them to complete it and everything, and then you can run that for all the job tickets that happen. There's Paul Blart. So you can run endless reports, and then you can even, you know, I can run up here and I can save them as a PDF and email them to somebody. I can print them, I can export them to a Excel spreadsheet. So I can do whatever I want to do with these reports, and you can get a lot of good information. You can do speed reports, lack of movement. So again, if you run a report and you know, I want to know when somebody's been sitting in their car with their engine running for more than 30 minutes, because I have a feeling they were sleeping. So you can run a report on that. And then last but not least, we have our administration tab. Now again, I've logged on as the administrator. Most people won't be. They'll only be a dispatcher because the administrator has powers that you don't want just everybody to have. So only a few people, or maybe in some cases only one person will have the administration power. But the administrator, this is where you add radios to your system. This is where you add dispatchers to your system. You can, like for the radio, for instance, you go in and you want to add a radio. So you can add a group, you can add a radio, you do all that up here. But once you have the radio, then you put, okay, I want them to be in maintenance. It's a portable radio, and I want him to be a helicopter, you know, or whatever. You assign whatever you want him to be as far as the insignia they see. And you can be creative in this too. Like if you have somebody that knows first aid in a plant, put a little plus by their name. So that way, if an emergency happens, you can see that, you know, John Paul Jones has a first aid thing, and somebody got hurt, you can call John Paul and say, hey, get over there, you know, Brad's been hurt. So you can be creative with this as well, and again, help maybe save somebody's life one day. Then you put them in the what group you want them in, the how you want them to connect to the repeater or the Swift agent, what logical group, and then there's some additional things. This is where I had the picture that I put in of Brad Pitt. But you, of course, can put whoever your person is, and then you can put a little information about them, because again, they might go to somebody's house and somebody might want a description of them. So say, you know, what does Brad Pitt look like? You know, you can tell them. You can tell them what kind of car he's driving. He's driving a white Ford Pinto with flames on the side. His license plate says "Cool Dude." And you can even have his phone number and his email address in case you need to call him for whatever reason after hours, and he's already turned his radio in, or he's in his personal car on the way home. You know, you have all this information. So, and you can do that with all the radios. And this is if you wanted to add anything, you know, all that's right up here. Very, very easy to do. This is where you also, amongst a lot of other things, this is where you do your dispatchers. So you create a username and a password for your dispatcher, so when they log in, it's their dispatch position. It's set up the way they want it. They don't have to share it with somebody else. In fact, if you have a dispatch position and you have 2 shifts, if you have a shift from, somebody logs out and then the next person gets on and logs on, that's only one dispatch position. You can have two usernames and login with the same dispatch position as long as they're not on there at the same time. So keep that in mind when you're getting your dispatch positions. So, and this is where you assign the rights. So anything you want them to be able to do or not do, here's where you assign it. So if you have somebody and you're a little worried, like, oh, I don't know if I want to give them that remote monitoring ability, you can just take it away. It's that easy. It's all check boxes. If you want them to only be able to talk to certain radios, you can say, okay, I only want them talking to certain radios or certain radio groups, or certain logical groups. All this is done all on a permissions basis, so very, very easy to set up. We have the event alarm management. This is where you can actually set up, if you want an event or an alarm to make something else happen, then you can set up an event or an alarm, and that way if an alarm goes off, you can have it maybe email somebody, or you can have it send out a SMS to people's phones at their houses. You can hook it up to a fire control panel. So if a fire happens, you can have that fire alarm have a pre-recorded message play, dial 911 and play a pre-recorded message that your building's on fire. All that can be done with our software. So if you want, it's not your standard alarm stuff that I've shown you all a lot today where you push the orange button and the alert goes off, the alarm goes off. That's standard alarm stuff. But if you want an event or an alarm to make something else happen, that's where alarm event management comes in. A lot of cool features with our software. I love doing the demos. If you ever need one for your personal business, give me a call. I'll be glad to help you. I'm Jim Slagle. I'm the North America Sales Manager for TRBOnet. It's been a lot of fun talking to everybody today, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.